This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Jury selection in the trial of the man charged with killing 4 Indigenous women is scheduled to happen Thursday. Jeremy Skibicki's trial is scheduled to start next week. But today, the family of Morgan Harris, one of the women believed to be a victim, was part of a ceremony at the Forks. Dozens were there in support. Melissa Robinson is Morgan Harris's cousin. She spoke with CBC about the meaning behind this gathering.
We held a pipe ceremony today. It's to have our elders come together to smoke their pipe, to offer prayers to our ancestors, to give us strength. And that's why we held that tobacco the whole time while they were doing their prayers, is because what we do with that tobacco, it being a medicine, is we then put it into our tobacco ties that will be hung in the courtroom next week. So.
Homeowners in a community on Lake Manitoba are cleaning up after strong winds pushed ice out of the lake onto shore. The CBC's Gavin Axelrod reports.
All it took was a few minutes for Maveen Smith's backyard on the shore of Twin Lakes Beach in the Arm of St. Laurent to look like this.
Mother Nature is not to be taken for granted. She has a mind of her own, and we are at her mercy when it comes to what she wants to do.
Video from her security camera shows the short window Thursday afternoon, where the ice moves closer and closer before upending the deck and stopping shy of the house. Smith and her husband weren't home at the time, but she says later they were up all night, worrying if the ice would move again and force them to evacuate, or possibly even lose the family home.
We've been out here since 1950, and this area, this end, has never experienced this.
Bryant Francouz's property was also in the path of the ice, and his boathouse badly damaged.
I can't believe how much ice actually does, what kind of damage ice does. As you could tell through my boathouse, it actually just blew out the walls right out of the boathouse.
Roger Gillis is the emergency coordinator in St. Laurent. He says while the ice is a sight to behold, it can be destructive too.
When it decides to come in, when the wind is blowing and it pushes it up, all we can do is sit and watch and make sure that we don't have to evacuate anyone, or we don't have to cause anyone to be removed from peril.
It doesn't come in quietly either.
Sounds like dynamite and thunder when it comes up. It's actually very, very loud and very, very scary.
Days after the incident, Smith says she's no longer scared, and the community will come together to rebuild what's been lost.
We lived through the flood of 2011. We'll get through this.
Smith also says it was supposed to be an easier work here, but now she and her husband will have their work cut out for them as the ice thaws. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, St. Laurent, Manitoba.
What if you could rate your hospital experience out of 10? And what if somebody could help before you've left the hospital? These 2 questions are driving a new program at most of Winnipeg's healthcare facilities. The CBC's Ian Fraze has more.
Patients at Winnipeg hospitals can now rate their care in real time. No more waiting for a survey in the mail, if you even get one.
What's new about this this survey process? It's live. So right now I could log on and I could see something that came in 3 minutes ago.
Staff can respond immediately.
So the patient may still be in our care facility, and we can go directly to that individual and talk to them about what's concerning them.
Winnipeg's Regional Health Authority is running the survey as a pilot project. If a patient rates their experience poorly and wants to talk, they'll get a call back in a day, maybe 2. Kirsten Jordan is in charge of patient safety.
When people tell us things, they're often in a place of distress, in a place of really wanting to know that their feedback mattered. So the opportunity to hear from somebody who says, I saw that you reached out to us and you wanted to talk more, and to get that response quickly is very meaningful.
Within 3 months, 100 people got a call back. And of those, 2% were events where unintended harm to the patient may have happened.
And I think we've recovered some trust from our patients and our families.
The surveys are accessed through QR code or by paper. There's just 3 questions. How was your overall experience? Were you treated with dignity and respect? And do you have anything to add?
They should be asking for people's opinions because they're assuming otherwise.
Susan Van Konath has advocated for patient rights. She finds the questions limiting. Patients may rave about the care, but complain about the wait.
I got the results that I wanted. I'm clearly happy. But getting to that was a different story.
The WRHA plans to soon offer these surveys by text and email, but one big barrier, a lot of medical records are still in paper. The government's promised to change that. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Last month, our colleagues in Radio Canada brought us a story on the Houston model for addressing homelessness. But whether or not it can be implemented here is another question. Mayor Scott Gillingham wants to move aggressively towards a housing-first model before the next city budget. That's the single plan strategy the city of Houston, Texas has used to house tens of thousands of people in a bit over a decade. Some Winnipeg organizations say they're already working under the same principles, but Gillingham disagrees.
You know, some organizations say, look, we're doing the Houston model. With all due respect, no, we're not doing the Houston model in this town. And it's just a model. We have to contextualize it for Winnipeg. We can't replicate Houston, you can't cut and paste Houston's model or the Finnish model or anyone's model. We've got to contextualize and localize it here for Winnipeg.
Local organizations tell Radio Canada the model works, but there's just not enough housing stock for it to make a dent in this city's homelessness problem. There was chanting, a Jets flyover, a whiteout, and a 13-goal hockey game. And a deafening crowd. That is Jets captain Adam Lowry with the goal, helping Winnipeg win with a final score of 7-6. Lowry scored twice, as did Kyle Connor. It was a roller coaster, but the Jets eked it out in the end. Jets coach Rick Bowness says they'll take the win, but there's plenty to clean up.
It wasn't exactly how we drew it up, but if that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. Our top guys, their top guys took over. Our top guys took over. It wasn't. It was just the type of game that it evolved into, and then you play it out, and we found a way to get the win. So we'll take it.
Thousands of Jets fans flooded downtown for the first whiteout party. Game 2, and your next chance to get downtown is tomorrow night. Puck drops at 8:30. And of course, with that home game, you can expect changes to your commute. Road closures are once again on the way to accommodate the street parties. Starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow, southbound Donald Street will be closed between Portage Avenue and St. Mary Avenue. That's expected to last until around 3 a.m. Also at 9, the city is closing Graham Avenue in both directions between Hargrave and Smith Street. That closure expected to last until 1 a.m. And let's bring in our Riley Lachuk now, who's going to be joining me. We're talking about the street parties. We know that's going to be coming up, the second one tomorrow. There he is. There's our
it's like
Riley.
A grand reveal.
Surprise! He's back in studio. Riley, we had not a bad game for that whiteout party day. Not a bad game either. What's it going to be like tomorrow, though?
I will say, if you're heading out there tomorrow night, Brittany, pack a sweater.
Okay.
Take a toque. We'll get right into it right now with that whiteout party forecast as we head into the night tomorrow. Yes, we are expecting gates to open around 6:30. 7 degrees once that happens. So we're looking at northeast winds at 15 under a sunny sky. 5 degrees by the time puck drops at 8:30. Still, fairly light northeast winds. But look at this, by the time we hit the end of the game, yes, not expected till 10:30, 11 o'clock. We're expecting a clear sky and down to 2 degrees. So yes, you'll want to pack a toque, maybe some mitts, but certainly something a little bit heavier than a t-shirt. Maybe that white parka might come in handy for tomorrow night. Satellite radar as we look through the afternoon hours here. Some scattered showers as forecast. This here into northwestern Ontario was that band that pushed through the Red River Valley earlier in the morning, and we're starting to see a little bit more instability starting to bubble up as we get through the Parkland region through the Westman region. So yes, we can expect some scattered showers, maybe through the overnight hours, even a couple of scattered snowflakes across southern Manitoba. So as we get through the night, for the most part, that does clear out. But yes, like I said, with temperatures kind of dancing around the freezing mark overnight tonight, we could see some of this falling as some wet flurries, especially the further west and the further north you go. By the time we hit Tuesday morning, though, yes, we're into a mainly sunny sky, and this is kind of what we get as we get through the next couple of days through Wednesday. Mainly sunny and mainly calm conditions, and then on Thursday, we start to see our clouds building in once again. This ahead of another area of instability that will push into Manitoba by the time we hit Thursday lunchtime, expecting some rain showers through the evening Thursday into Friday. So in terms of the next couple of days here, we're looking at trace to 2 or 3 millimeters as we get through into Wednesday here. Otherwise, not a lot of precipitation per se. Temperatures right now 13 in Dauphin, 15 in both Morden-Winkler and Winnipeg. Got up to 18 at the airport briefly this afternoon, but contrasting that, minus 15 in Churchill. And as we look at the day tomorrow, we're looking at temperatures starting around minus 5 in Flin Flon and the Pas, getting up to freezing by lunchtime. And by the time we hit the 4 o'clock hour, temperatures a little bit warmer, but still below zero for Thompson and into the Churchill region. We're looking at that snow and that rain kind of tapering off first thing in the morning for southern Manitoba. Temperatures by lunch about 7-8 degrees for Westman. A little bit cooler back to the east here in the Red River Valley, but we'll see temperatures jumping up into the double digits for Westman as we get through into the day. Tomorrow, Brittany, we're looking at sunny skies as well as we head into Wednesday. Your 7-day forecast coming up.
And a whiteout downtown.
Yes.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
A Winnipeg firefighter was honored today at the Manitoba Legislature. Preston Heinbigner's death has sparked calls for more mental health supports. As CBC's Josh Crabb reports, the provincial government is promising more help is on the way.
A piper played in the Manitoba Legislature with members of Preston Heinbigner's family, including his wife Shada and mom and dad Elaine and Robert in the gallery. They were recognized by fellow firefighter and Waverley MLA David Pankratz, who gave a speech honoring Heinbigner's life.
Your courage in the face of such profound loss and your advocacy for better support for the mental and emotional well-being of our first responders remind us that the challenges Preston faced are too common among all who serve on the front lines.
There was a moment of silence and a wreath and photos of Heinbigner placed in the legislature to pay tribute to the 40-year-old who died by suicide April 9th. Close friends and colleagues say Heinbigner was living with symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, the PTSD the result, they say, of his dedication to the profession.
Almost 17 years of response to others' emergencies and life and death situations left him with an internal struggle that none of us will completely understand.
More than 200 firefighters from across the province packed the public gallery in the legislature, then walked to Memorial Park with Heinbigner's family for a ceremony and a call to action.
We have a lot of work to do. We know there is stigmas, we know there is delays, we know there is needs for more capacity.
The United Firefighters of Winnipeg also wants Heinbigner's death recognized by the Workers' Compensation Board as a line of duty death. Premier Wab Kinew says more mental health counselors are on the way to help all first responders.
We're going to respond with this as the first step, and we know that there's going to be more steps needed in the future to help those who help us.
Preston Heinbigner's name will be added to this monument for fallen firefighters here at Memorial Park in Winnipeg. His name will also be put on a memorial for fallen firefighters in the United States. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Sustainability takes center stage as the world marks Earth Day. More on how you can make your wardrobe sustainable after we return. Stay with us.
Speaking of unfolding, you have a story about reusable grocery bags that seem to be piling up in closets, basements, and even landfills. What do you know about the story? Mm-hmm. Huh. So could this actually fix the problem then? I have a few, and I also have a few that have fallen apart, and it's not fun when that happens. It gets wet, and that's another whole story. The markets, how are the numbers today? Just like the markets today, you always make life decent. Thank you. Talk to you soon. It's Reed Southwick at the CBC National Business Desk. Well, as you've been hearing, today is Earth Day. It is a day to think about the environment and our impacts on it. Indigenous peoples have long been recognized as having a deep connection to the land, and in recent years, they've been fulfilling those roles in more official capacities as guardians. In Canada, there are about 1,000 such guardians managing protected areas, testing water quality, and monitoring development, among other things. As we mark Earth Day today, the CBC's Colleen Underwood explains how Indigenous communities are playing that part.
Today is Earth Day, where many people take the time to reflect on what they can do to help the planet. 2 Winnipeg women are offering advice on how to make wardrobes more sustainable. They're hoping more people will rethink how they consume fashion. Here's their story.
I can't remember a time where I wasn't really interested in creating things.
This is such a giant piece.
The inspiration for the items I make often comes from a need I find in my own wardrobe, but can also come from various home sewists that I follow on Instagram and small business pattern companies as well. My name is Megan Fowler, and I am a home sewist. Most of my wardrobe is either from thrifting or from me making it. Several years ago, a friend told me that she, for a full year, had sworn to just only purchase clothing from the thrift store. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. I could never do that. And so when I started this clothing journey, I decided to try the same thing. And so it was then that I started thrifting in earnest, but actually really got into sewing as well. And increasingly over time, my wardrobe has come from sewing and less from thrifting, actually. I want this to go right there. Learning to sew was accomplished kind of by a few different avenues. One was that my mom taught me some basic stuff, and I also used YouTube or Instagram, various tutorials I found to learn different techniques. Really good patterns will explain techniques super well. Then there's just this element of creativity and play where you take what you know and maybe take a risk or do some problem solving to figure out a different way of doing something. So there's some of that as well, and that's like trial and error, and sometimes that goes well, sometimes not so much, but that's sort of how I continue to learn.
There are many different ways that you can be more sustainable with your clothing. Obviously, not everyone's gonna sew their own clothes, and that's totally fine. There's lots of things that the average person can do to be more sustainable in their shopping habits or other consumptions. As we look forward to textile recycling, blended fibers are very difficult to recycle, and it's much easier if it's single fiber. If you're buying a t-shirt, could it be 100% cotton? Could you look for that on the label instead of something that's blended? If you wanted to pick up a needle and thread, you could start mending your own clothes. If you like thrifting, you could take a class on maybe how to alter clothes to fit you better, so that when you find that almost perfect thing, you can make it fit you. Oh yeah, take whatever you want.
The fast fashion model is totally unsustainable. It is devastatingly bad for our environment and for the people that are making these clothes. And I believe that we can totally enjoy clothing and beauty and the fashion world without destroying our planet and without hurting others in the process.
That piece was produced by Marcus Fowler in collaboration with CBC's Creator Network. Well, it's a game you may have played as a kid, tossing beanbags into a hole. Cornhole is growing in Manitoba. In February, Winnipegger Jeff Monday started up the Winnipeg West Cornhole League. Now, about 30 players come together each week to play the sport at the St. James Legion on Portage Avenue. CBC Manitoba community reporter Shanalee Vidal and videographer Jason Empson checked it out.
All right, we're gonna get started. Thanks for coming, everyone. Huge night with 30 players. We will be doing a switch format, so you're gonna play 4 games each. Every game's with a different partner. Let's go. Let's throw some bags.
This is my weapon of mass destruction.
I'm Jeff Monday, and this is Cornhole. Okay, I'll spin it. You spin to see who goes first. Good luck. Good luck, buddy. And then after that, you alternate shots. You get 3 points if you get a cornhole, which is what it's called when the bag goes in the hole. You get 1 point for every bag that's on the board. And then if you're throwing against somebody else, you cancel each other out. The games are up to 21. You don't have to get exactly 21, but you were the first one to get to 21, and that would be the end of the game. Regulation is 27 feet apart, and a board's 2 feet by 4 feet, and then it's got a 6-inch hole. You get to step up to the edge of the board. So if you step over the line, that's a foul. So you have to have at least 1 foot behind the line when you release the bag. And then when you throw the bag, usually you get a good grip. And as you release it, you want your hand to come up and release flat. And then you let the bag fly flat. So when it lands on the board, it's flat, and you slide up into the hole.
I'm a competitive person. I've been a competitive by nature. I played a lot of sports growing up, and now that I've gotten older, I don't want to get hurt playing hockey or something like that, right? So it's hard to hurt myself playing cornhole.
Cheers, let's play.
Anybody can play cornhole. It's the one sport where you don't need to be super strong. Old ladies like me can play with an 18-year-old, or a 12-year-old kid can beat a 70-year-old man.
Oh yeah!
It's like a family, honestly. People who love cornhole, and it just, everywhere we go, it's the same type of fun. I don't know, we just love it.
And straight ahead, more from the Winnipeg Whiteout. Stay with us.
That's Julie Obey with a tune called Labor of Love. We're at 4 minutes before 6 o'clock here on CBC Radio 1. Let's head over to our CBC local news desk, and Rosanna Hempel joining us now. Hello. All right, thanks very much. Rosanna Hempel from your CBC Winnipeg local news desk. Coming up on The Current tomorrow, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau talks about her life, her mental health, and her approach to wellness, because she thinks all of us need to be emotionally literate and connect more with our own feelings and those of others. That's coming up on The Current tomorrow morning with host Matt Galloway, right after your local morning show, Information Radio, right here on CBC Radio 1, on the CBC Listen app, and everywhere you get your podcasts. We are expecting a chance of scattered showers or wet flurries tonight. That's what Riley Lechek is calling for. Otherwise, partly cloudy conditions, a temperature low of 0. Tomorrow it's going to be another sunny day, but not as warm as it was today, just a temperature high of 8 degrees. Wendy Parker is our show director today. Daniel Friesen is our show technician in Control Room 15. Nelly Gonzalez is our show producer. Leif Larson is our senior producer of audio. Thanks very much for your work today. It is partly cloudy in downtown Winnipeg, 16 degrees. Brandon,